Councilmember Royce, whose mother passed away, so.
Thank you.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Crowner,
Here.
Raleigh,
Here.
Heitmeyer,
Here.
Lees, here, Waterman.
Need to perfect and approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Heitmeyer,
Aye.
Lees, Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Consent agenda.
Motion approved is presented.
Support.
Motion with support to approve consent agenda items 1 through 8, which are the minutes from regular city council meeting on February 6th. Approve city administrator Giffords attendance at Southeast Iowa Days. Approve payment to Burlington Municipal Waterworks. Approve payment to Des Moines County Regional Waste Commission. Approve payment to Four Seasons Excavation. Approve payment to Quad City Analytical Services. Approve the city clerk's monthly financial report for January 2019. And approve the claims list as presented in the amount of $475,751.51. Any discussion? Roll call.
Heitmeyer,
Aye.
Lees, Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Motion carried. Staff reports. Dan?
I don't have much. Went to the chamber meeting this week and in the economic development meeting, let you know that there's a couple of properties being looked at fairly seriously. Of course, this happens all the time and they just go away, but they're working for us and they're trying to market, especially the Raider site. They want to get that off their books as fast as possible, which works great for us.
Do I have anything for Dan? Randy?
No, I don't have anything tonight.
Do I have anything for Randy? Jess?
I did tobacco buys last Wednesday in all 7 places here in West Burlington passed. So we did a good job this year, and the retailers did a good job this year, and we'll do it again next year.
Do I have anything for Jesse? Sean?
Nothing for you tonight.
All right. Do I have anything for Sean? Kelly, you got anything going on?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Rod?
I'm good, sir.
Rick?
Good.
Boys? Trees?
Nope.
All right. Well, then we're going to community reports, and I want to introduce you guys to our new DESCOM director, Shana Krokmeyer. She's here to talk a little bit about the DESCOM budgeting process.
Hi.
You want to sit up there?
Sure.
And then
Like Mr. Trousel said, my name's Shanna Krogmeyer. I'm the new DESCOM director. I've been there for about 6 months. I'm sure some of you have read in the paper that we're kind of going through our process of not only renewing our budget, but the agreement that our funding structure is based off of is also up for renewal. So this year, it was basically conceived. DESCOM was consolidated and put together in 2014. It was a 5-year agreement, so that agreement's now up. With that being said, we have to renew it by June 30th, 2019. And now's the time that we're going to sit down and have those conversations. There's a lot of things that work really well in that system. There's some things that I know different entities have said they want to change. So I'm going around to all the city councils and just encouraging you, if there's things that you want to change or you don't understand why something is the way it is, that I will be communicating probably through the city clerks and letting them know the dates and times of these meetings. They're open to anybody who has a opinion or suggestions or just wants to find out kind of how we do things or why we do things the way we do. I think the big one's going to be the funding structure. I've already had basically every city approach us about looking into possibly changing that. So, yeah, that's going to be the big topic of conversation, I think. Other than that, everything from what I've heard, will probably stay about the same. Descom, as you guys know, just moved out to West Burlington last year. So I think we're getting comfortable in our new location, and it's a very nice setup that we've got there. I was lucky to come into it once it was almost done, so I didn't have to deal with any of the headache of getting it there. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for me with regards to the budget of the 2080 agreement?
Well, as far as the budget goes, I think everyone on that board kind of understands my position that the budgeting ought to go through, you know, a countywide levy instead of each entity having to come up with, you know, with their money out of their general funds. Countywide levy can be created through the Emergency Management Commission. Emergency Management Commission wouldn't set the budget for DESCOM, but the monies would go through the Emergency Management Commission and then be released to DESCOM. It's just an in and out for that, but under state code it allows you to do that, where it would end up releasing or making approximately for West Burlington, we have out of the 810, we pay the levy for DESCOM is about 50 cents, so that would release that for other things, or possibly even lower in the levy, so with countywide levy.
And I've encouraged people. I've done 4 of these meetings now, and just said, you know, I don't get a vote on it, so they listened to my opinion somewhat, but in reality, our control board's the one who gets the vote. So your control board member is actually Hans. So if you have a really strong opinion on it and you can't make it to the meeting, he's West Burlington's representative on that. Or Jesse's on the advisory board as well. So any other questions? Thank you.
I think the 2080 agreement has worked out great over the last 3 or 4 years. I'd like to, you know, make sure we continue doing that. We don't want to all go off our separate ways, because none of us can, you know, there are no 4 other communication centers that any of us can go to. You know, pretty much everything's out here, and it's out in the basement of the hospital. It's a secure facility, and I encourage each and every one of you to go out there and take a tour of it. See what it's like. I mean, if you ever had a job where you're sitting inside a dark control room with computers that everything is dark in there, I don't know. I don't think I'd like to be a dispatcher.
You get used to it, and then somebody turns the lights on.
Wakes everybody up.
Yeah, everybody's welcome to come out and take a tour. Just call ahead of time. You might need directions. We're kind of hidden down there.
Get a hold of me.
Thank you for coming out.
No problem. Thank you.
Anyone wishing to address the council on matters that are not on the agenda tonight? All right, we'll go into a public hearing. We'll open up the public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-2020, and as always, in the last eons, we have a PowerPoint presentation, and Leslie's going to run the clicker, and I'm going to talk, so bear with me. So, next page. As you can see there, it just gives you the information that we've got 302 cities that have a lower tax rate and 640 cities that have a higher tax rate for fiscal year 18-19. Out of the 25 cities in the 2,500 to 3,500 population range, 2 of them have lower tax rates and 22 are higher. They range from $7.92 to $20.35 per thousand, with an average tax rate of $14.34 compared to our tax levy rate of $10. levy rate for comparison for Des Moines County and the cities in Des Moines County. Burlington City 1633, Danville is 1245, Mediapolis 1168, Middletown 1251, and West Burlington's 10. Our 100% valuation history over the last 10 years. As you can see, we've gone from 202.5 million to 293, almost 294 million in valuation. Residential growth has also gone up. Commercial growth has gone up. Industrial growth has gone up, and in the last 4 years, multi-residential has been split out from the residential to a separate column by themselves, valuation column. The taxable valuations that are used for setting the levy rate for 1920, we have a regular 158 million, debt service 205 million, and ag land at 823,000. And the assessor's in the process of doing reassessments. The commercial industrial reevaluations are already reflected in 1920 rates, and the residential will be in the 2021 numbers. Taxable valuations by major classes. Fiscal year 1920, we have for residential 65.5 million, commercial 116.5 million, industrial 10.8 million, and multi-residential 5.9 million. And you can see the growth from 1314 to 1920 in each one of those columns, with a little drop in industrial over rollback. You can see how it's affected in the last 12 years on this chart here, where in 05-06 the rollback was at 47.96%, and this year it's at 56.91 for residential. Agricultural in 05-06 used to be 100%. Then in 08-09 they started giving it a rollback to where this year it's at 56.13%. Commercial has also dropped from 100% rollback over the years down to 90%, and industrial also from 100% to 90%. And in the last 4 years, the multi-residential has gone from 100% down to where it's at 75% for this next fiscal year. Next just shows a graph of what the rollback has done over the years. Multi-residential properties, like it says in 1617 year, the multi-residential property began rolling back according to the following schedule, where in 1617 it was 86.25%. For 1920 it's at 75%, and 22-23 it'll be 63.75%, and after that it'll be the same as residential. And we've got, for 1920, we've got about almost 6 million in multifamily taxable valuations. Multifamily, you can see what that does when a property that's worth $250,000 with, in 15-16, there was no rollback, so their taxes was at the $10 rate was $2,500, where now in 1920, that same valuation of $250,000 with rollback at 75%, their taxless will be $1,875. So in the last 4 years, the property owners, if the value is maintained at $250,000, they've seen a $625 reduction. And the next thing is just a chart showing you what the multifamily residential rollback's doing. Then commercial industrial property tax replacements. This is what's also known as the backfill. The legislature created a standing appropriation in fiscal 2015 to reimburse the local governments for the tax reductions to the 10% rollback for commercial industrial property owners. The standing appropriation was promised to continue but be capped at the actual 2017 amount. Now, in the legislature, they've talked about several times in the last couple of years to do away with that and not to replace it with anything, but so far there's been enough push from the cities that are being represented to kind of keep that from happening. So, but last year, a bill did come out of the Senate subcommittee proposing a 2-year phase-out, and that didn't go anywhere, and so far nothing's happened. In the general fund and employee benefits, the city receives approximately $100,000. This is an equivalent to an increase in the levy rate of about 64 cents. Of course, property tax dollars are the city's largest source of funds for the general government operations. The city is budgeted to receive $1.585 million in property tax dollars at the 10-cent tax levy rate, or $10 tax levy rate. That's an increase of $114,365 from the amount budgeted to receive in this fiscal year 18-19, and that's due to the increase in property values of about $11,426,000 and a change in the rollback to 1.29%. The state limits the amount cities can levy for general fund to $8.10 per thousand in taxable value, and then additional levies that are outside the 810 limit that we use here in the city of West Burlington, liability, property, and self-insurance costs, a little over 19 cents, FICA and IPERS, 81 cents, and other employee benefits, 89 cents, so that brings that total tax rate that we published for 1920 at $10. So if anybody wants to do their own calculation on what they're going to pay in property taxes, you just take the assessed value of your house and you times the rollback, which, and for an example, we use the 100,000. The rollback is 56.918%. So your taxable value is $56,918. Now you can do this either way. Leslie has it this way. I do it the other way. She has taxable value at $56,918 times the levy rate at $10 and then divided by 1,000, which comes up with the $569. I just do it. I divide the 56,918 by 1,000 and take it times 10. Still come up with the same number. City of West Burlington residential property taxes in the last 12 years, basically, or 10 years. You can see what the, if you had a valuation of a $100,000 home, what the rollback has been in each one of those years, what the taxable value has been, what the tax rate and what the taxes are, and the yearly difference in your tax bill, to where this last year in 18-19, if you had that $100,000 home, your tax bill would have been $556 to the city, and we're 1920 with the rollback going up by a little over 1.3%. It's going to be $569, which is the same as in 17-18. So last year you had a $13 reduction. This year you have a $13 increase. City of West Burlington property taxes in 910. You can see of what commercial property has done to 1920. That $1 million valuation in 910 at 986 tax rate. They were paying $986. At the 1920, 90% tax rate on that same $1 million property, you'd be paying $9,000. I'm sorry, would have been $9,860 for the 09-10. So here we've got some property tax history over the last 10 years. This gives you what the school district levies have been, what our levy has been for the city, what the Des Moines County levies have been, and what the Southeastern Community College levy has been, which we all, city of West Burlington residents pay. So you can see over the last 10 years, the school district has dropped their levy from $20.92 to $14.02. City of West Burlington has gone from $9.86 to $10.10 and $14.15 to where it's at $10 now. County levies have dropped some, and the college levy has gone up a little bit to where the overall total levy in 09-10 was $40.35 to where in 2018-2019 it's $33.25. And you can see the percentage of that, it's going to the school and the county and the city. The school district in 09-10 was getting about close to 52% of your tax bill, where this year getting 42%. The county levy was then getting 21%. They're getting 24%, and the city levy was at around 24%. Now it's at 30% of your tax bill. And the next chart just shows you what the levy rates have done for the city over the last 10 years, where we were at 986 and went to 975 and 1314 and 1010 and 1415 and then back to 10 in the last 3 years.
One quick thing. Leslie, do you have the Burlington school numbers? What their rate has done? Do we know that?
Higher than the West Burlington School District.
Well, I know, but
I don't have it.
we don't have that? Okay. I was just thinking we have so much property in our town that's in the Burlington School District that these numbers would be different for. Okay, I'm sorry.
Then the general fund, as everybody knows, it's a chief operating fund of the city, and that fund supports operations most identified with the city, such as fire and police. The largest revenue received in the general fund is property taxes. We also receive all other income that's not required by law or contractual agreement to be deposited elsewhere. Also included its revenues from licenses, permits, and the earnings of investments. For fiscal year 1920, the general fund revenues are budgeted at $2,587,395 and expenses at $2,651,876. So that results in a budget deficit of $64,481, and that translates into about a 40-cent levy rate shortfall for a balanced budget. At the end of fiscal 1920, the general fund is estimated to have a balance of $393,543, and that would result in a reserve balance of about 14.84%. And to make up that levy shortfall, we of course balance it with the reserves. And that next chart shows you what we've done over the last 10 years with having to balance the budget with using reserves. Over that time, I just kind of before the meeting just kind of figured out we're about almost $4 million in reserves. Tax increment financing. That tells you, this chart tells you here what we're using TIF. What TIF is being used for. Community developers, $80,550. That's our TIF rebate for the Blackhawk Millennium Hall. Then we have a 2013 GO bond at $955,000. A 2017 GO bond. That was the 2013 was for Public Works building and street projects with a 2017 of $117,000. LMI set aside for residential projects for almost $6,500. The West Burlington condos LMI set asides $12,402. 2015 residential project, that's an internal loan of $8,621. The West Burlington condos project, another internal loan of $19,895. Blackhawk Urban Legal Services, $8,000 internal loan, and the agency and GE Legal Services, about $9,000 on internal loan. And it's estimated that we're gonna receive about 1.3 million, not quite 1.4 million of TIF revenues of the available 4.2 million for 1920. So that leaves about 2.8 million of uncollected TIF revenue that will be unused by the city, which is turned back to the school districts and the county and all the other entities that use their money in their general funds. Road use tax fund, that comes from vehicle registration fees throughout the state, motor vehicle fuel taxes, and excise tax imposed on rental of automobiles, and a use tax on trailers. And the distribution is based upon population. The amount estimated by the state for fiscal 1920 is a distribution rate of $121.50 per capita. When doing the budget, estimate of $121 was used. Usually we underestimate in what the state gives because sometimes they don't come through with all of that. Economic instability and fluctuating fuel costs can result in changes in the fund. In fiscal 14-15, the state increased the gas tax 10 cents per gallon, which resulted in an annual increase of approximately $50,000 to the city. So we budgeted to receive $364,452 from road use taxes, and with expenditures of $356,270. And the expenditures include seal coating of $15,000 and operating expenses. Next chart is the local option sales tax revenues. We're obligated to use 25% of the proceeds for property tax relief to pay off outstanding general obligation debt. The remainder of the proceeds shall be used for police department and fire department services, capital improvements, capital equipment, or to pay off other debt obligations. And you can see how the chart is. We've usually averaged close to 400,000. We've exceeded 500,000 a few times, and almost got 600,000 one year, but it's kind of being consistent. And then the next page is what our expenditures are through a local option sales tax. The revenues are estimated 472,000, and and expenditures are budgeted at 476,976. So leaving an unspent reserve of $4,976 from fiscal 1920. And you can see that we got police and fire expenditures, debt service payments, ambulance, library, airport, sidewalks, economic development, and airport capital. The next three slides are pie charts, revenues by source. It gives you percentages. I'm not going to more on this slide here. Property taxes are, of course, almost 42%, and charges for services around 37%. And then the tax revenue breakdown, we received approximately $3.785 million of its revenues from taxes, and the breakdown of where those taxes come from is shown below, which property taxes, TIF, local option sales tax, road use, hotel, motel, miscellaneous utility, excise, franchise, mobile home stuff. And then the last pie chart is the expenditures by function, and that excludes transfers. So you can see our public safety is about 1.5 million, public works 721,000, culture and recreation 195,000, economic and community development 87,000, general government 580,000, debt service 1.2 million, capital projects 695,000, and water and sewer 2.2 million. Capital projects that we're budgeting for next year is a new police Explorer with a trade-in of approximately 23,000, 27 general obligation bond street projects, which is the Gear Avenue, Agency Street, Broadway, and Mount Pleasant, $670,000, that's the remainder of the bond proceeds. Sidewalks, $10,000, coming out of local option sales tax. Seal Code project, $15,000, road use funds, and fire department training site improvements of $30,000 coming out of general fund. And then we transfer to capital funds. We got airport capital fund, which is starting this year, and that's going to have transferred out of local option sales tax. City Hall capital reserve comes out of general fund. Administration capital fund out of the general fund. The fire capital equipment fund out of the general fund. Police department capital fund out of general fund, and pool capital equipment fund out of general fund. Then we have payroll. The employer share of IPERS is 9.44% for regular employees. There's no change there. 9.91% for police and fire, which is a decrease of about 0.3%. And the employee share of IPERS, that's the employer share. The first one, the employee share of IPERS is 6.29 for regular employees, no change. 6.61 for police and fire, decrease of about 0.2%. Budgeted a 2.5% wage increase for most employees. And the city has budgeted to expend $1.5 million for wages for fiscal year 1920. Our health insurance costs continue to rise, which is including partial self-funding, $446,030. And then the share of IPER cost is $144,336. And the share of FICA and Medicare cost is $116,537. Utilities on water rates, we budgeted to increase 25 cents per 1,000 gallons. So the monthly distribution charge would go from $21.25 to, whoa, is that right? $22? That's 75
Yeah, it was
cents.
based on 3,000, your minimum usage.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's 75 cents. It's based upon, its monthly distribution is a minimum charge,
Okay.
plus 3,000 gallon.
Yeah. So the first 3,000 is no charge with the payment of monthly distribution charge. Then 3,000 to $1 million would go from $740 to $765. The next 500,000 would be from $514 to $539, and all water over $1.5 million would go from $319 to $344. The users of 3,000 gallons of water would see an increase of 75 cents per month, or $9 per year. A user of 5,000 gallons of water would see an increase of $1.25 per month, or $15 per year. Sewer, garbage, and recycling, due to DNR mandates over the last few years, our sewer rates have increased significant. For fiscal 1920, a 7% increase has been budgeted for sewer rates. The rate will be $10.06 per thousand, in addition to a $9.20 monthly user fee. I got to say one thing about the water and the sewer: none of this has been set in stone yet. 'Cause
No.
in late May, and we determine what those rates will be. But this is what's been budgeted. But sewer capital project charge of $1 a month per user is budgeted to remain the same. Garbage rates presently are $12.25 per month, and our budget to increase to $12.40. The present contract with Levine's expires this year on June 30th. Recycling fees are presently $3.75 and will increase to $3.85 per month, and that's going to be a 10-cent per month increase, or $1.20 annually. So total increase for water, sewer capital project, garbage, and recycling based upon water usage. To use 3,000 gallons, the minimum would be $3.58 a month, or $42.96 annually. 5,000 gallons, $5.40 a month, or $64.80 annually to increase. And this page shows what we have in debt, which shows our general obligation bonds and the maturity of them. Public Works Building, $3.75 million, paid for with TIF. 2011, the rescue fire, $300,000, paid for a local option sales tax. 2011, the aerial fire truck, $750,000, local option sales tax. 2017, street resurface construction of $3.78 million, paid for with TIF. State revolving fund, GO bond, a water project, $400,000, paid for with local option sales tax. Another state revolving fund, water revenue project of $330,000, paid for out of the water revenues. SRF sewer revenue bond, wastewater plant improvement of $10.9 million, paid for with sewer rates, sewer revenue, and Dell computer lease of leasing of computer equipment was $77,000 out of general fund. So according to the Iowa Constitution, the city has a maximum debt capacity of 5% of the city's 100% assessed value, which is $293,959.946, which would be a maximum debt capacity of $14,697,997. And the city will begin in fiscal year 1920 at approximately 35.1% of the debt limit capacity, which is $5.1 million, and we'll end the year at 27.68% of debt capacity, right at $4 million. And that did that. And I appreciate Leslie and all the staff and everybody putting the work into this thing. So, did we receive any written comments?
No.
Anybody want to make a comment? I'll close the public hearing. Go into new business. Item number 1. Hold a resolution approving the budget and establishing the levy rate for fiscal year 1920.
So moved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion?
Just want to thank all of you for all your work and all these numbers. Excellent presentation again this year.
Roll call.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Lees. Aye. Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2 is consider payment to Snyder Associates for engineering services related to the lift station replacement project in the amount of $3,250.
So moved. Support then.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call. I'll let you.
Crowner.
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. I was going to say I'll let Lindsay and Ben talk about these 3 after we vote on them, or whenever you want to jump in.
Lift station project, we're still collecting 12-meter data around there, and we also provided a preliminary price for replacing the force main. Just let us know if you guys are still interested in that. Just got some sewer televising videos for one of the gravity pipes that goes into that lift station. We're looking those over to see if there's any damage in that, if that would need to be fixed as well. Just give those videos to Randy and we'll make a report with the findings. English Park, we got 30% approval from the DNR, so continuing design.
What was that, excuse me?
English Park sponsored project,
Yeah, percentage wise?
30% plans.
Okay.
And next thing will be 60% plants. Wastewater plant project, they're doing some modifications to the EV system, but other than that, pretty much nothing is what's left. General contractor and the new projector doing the sludge removal, they're shut down for the winter, and they don't want to come back. But the specifications
have any questions? Okay, then item number 3 is consider payment to Snyder Associates for engineering services related to the Lewis Park sponsored project, amount of $5,650.
So moved.
Support. Go ahead.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees. Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4 is consider payment of Leander Construction for work completed on the wastewater treatment plant, amount of $79,169.11.
Motion approved.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Raleigh,
Aye.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees. Aye. Crowner.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 5 is consider payment to Des Moines County for repairs to Beaverdale Road, the amount of $208,770.35.
Did we get any information on this prior to the increase? Or-
I kind of explained it in my memo.
Yeah, but wasn't there a mess up over that?
No, there wasn't a mess up. They found a really bad base under that concrete, so they had to bring in a lot of extra gravel for base. And then the estimate, we like our DOT projects, we do about 5 years out. Well, concrete was a lot cheaper 5 years ago than it was this year, and they didn't catch that, so that was a lot of the increase too, because 5 years ago, we still had 2 suppliers of concrete, and now we're down to 1, and they can pretty much charge what they want, so. That was, the way
I
the
did-
engineer explained it to me is why that went over so much.
I was thinking that it was completed and then somebody had to come up and fix the mess up. Was that
No.
wrong? Okay. That's just
No, not that I know
hearsay or
of
what,
anyway.
or something of that sort. I just wanted to make
That was
sure.
that was on the Mount Pleasant Street project, they had to do some of that, but
That's, yeah.
that
No,
was,
I was thinking it was Beaverdale that was
no,
up there.
they just found.
Because I know when
tore
I
the
went out there,
concrete, They just found mud under there, and they had to fix that.
Base was pretty well shot.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion with support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hightmeyer,
Aye.
Lees. Aye. Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh.
Motion carried.
I would make one simple comment on that issue. I really think we should refrain, not try to use company names as an excuse of why prices are higher and so on and so forth, and pick on local businesses in a public paper like this.
I agree.
Okay?
Item number 6, consider entering into an engineering service agreement with Snyder and Associates for water storage evaluation, amount of $26,000.
Support.
Motion with support. Any discussion?
Have we talked, and I guess this really involves Randy a lot, but have we talked about where we want that thing to go to, or where we'd like to see it go to, or?
Originally, it was talked about going out to the public works site.
We talked about putting it back out there, but do you still think that's feasible, or?
That would be one of the things that we'll look into, part of the studies, options of where to go, what kinds of towns, It'll, could be tight, but
So you think it's still possible it could go out there on that piece of ground? Okay. I know Dave never wanted to put it there, I don't think. Okay.
who?
I just wondered. All right.
Roll call.
Lees. Aye. Crowner,
Aye.
Raleigh.
Aye.
Hightmeyer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Do we have any old business? Anyone wishing to address the council matters that we did discuss or didn't discuss tonight? Chance. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.